stacks on stacks, the walls rise high, trade winds shifting in the sky. Ships of goods come and go, caught in tides they ebb and flow. Numbers dance in worldly halls, echo loud through tariff walls. Coins that jingle lose their song. Who's to blame when things go wrong? Tower of towers spinning round, building walls from the lost and found. A trade war tango in disguise, hidden truth beneath the lies. Markets twitch and futures sway. What will break by end of day? Lines are drawn, but hearts unsure. What's the price to feel secure? Dance of deals, whispers cold. Fragile dreams bought and sold. Every step a double edge, balancing on a tightrope sledge. Tower of towers spinning round, building walls from the lost and found. A trade war tango in disguise, hidden truth beneath the lies.
Trump struts in golden high-rise hall. Ramaphosa walks where justice called. Two worlds collide like waves on stone. Can't fix the cracks while standing alone. Shake hands across the endless sea. Build a bridge of unity. Romance blooms where hearts decide. Mend the rift, don't let it divide. Orange ties meet bulbous and flare. A little humor gives the air. Laughter echoes round the room, turning politics into blue. Shake hands across the endless sea. Build a bridge of unity. Romance blooms where hearts decide. Mend the rift, don't let it divide. Orange ties meet bold bays and flare. A little humor gives the air. Laughter echoes round the room, turning politics into bloom. Shake hands across the endless sea. Build a bridge of unity. Romance blooms where hearts decide. Mend the rift, don't let it divide. From Manhattan towers to Soweto streets, to leaders' minds like jazzed up beats. No time for shade, no space for ire. It's harmony they must inspire. Whisper treaties, roll the dice. Diplomacy spiced with some advice. Two nations rise when leaders care. The future's waiting, are they aware? with some advice. Two nations rise when leaders care. The future's waiting already.
Wow. What a consequential week. What a consequential week it has been. Ladies and gentlemen, what a week. South Africa's budget battle, the ANC toy-toying and dancing and cheering over the fact that they imposed consumption taxes on the poorest of the poor, black South Africans, excited about the fact that they'll be able to steal money from the consumers, poor black South Africans, revealing who they are once and for all. Not a party that cares about the poor, but a party that cares about self-enrichment, self-aggrandizement, and craven political power. My beard is looking kind of weird here. What's going on here? There we go. Not playing nice. There we go. Anyway. Yeah, so, wow, that's even worse now. What's going on there? All right, so that's looking weird. Anyway, yeah, so the ANC reveals itself for what it truly is, celebrating the tax increase as if it was some sort of victory for humankind, when actually it's an oppressive measure meant to impoverish black South Africans, among others, but not exclusively. They celebrate that. They wake up the next day to 30% tariffs, which will destroy South Africa's economy from the U.S. And today, the Texas representative, Troy Nels, apparently submitted a draft bill, a resolution for a new law in the United States related to the refugee program. Now, I've got some issues with that. I'm going to talk about that as we get started this evening. So I'm going to mention a few things in here. First, this is wholly unnecessary. There's no need for a law. The law already exists. This is attention-seeking by this Texas representative. I'm not really sure who he thinks he's trying to help. Maybe he is trying to help someone, but I'm a little concerned about it for a number of reasons. So we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. The only positive from my perspective is that this draws more attention to the issue of what's going on in South Africa. Whether this ever becomes a law or not, it certainly it's got some challenges with it. So let's talk about this. First off, this draft bill that is being put in the House of Representatives, purported by Troy Nels, and I've got a request and ask if that's actually true from the congressman, simply is a reflection of what I've told you since the very beginning, ladies and gentlemen. When I referred you to U.S. Immigration Nationality Act of 1980, I told you that it has priorities for groups of individuals and groups and peoples. So priorities 1 through 4, okay? Priority 2 is groups of special concern, designated by the Department of State as having access to the refugee program by virtue of their circumstances and apparent need for resettlement. And in explaining that, I said, well, that's very clear to me. The president has identified a group of special concern. In his executive order from the 7th of February, he said this program would be for Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. Now, without any basis whatsoever, the media has breathlessly reported in South Africa and outside South Africa, politicians have breathlessly claimed that this is a program for white South Africans exclusively and that it's for farmers exclusively, despite the fact that that executive order makes no mention of farmers whatsoever and makes no mention of white South Africans, simply discusses Afrikaners. We've had endless discussions about what an Afrikaner is. It's not up to you. It's not up to me. It's up to the government of South Africa. Now, this is going to be confused, and this is going to lead to more racism claims by South African politicians because Representative Troy Nels exclusively identifies Caucasian, I hate that term, white South Africans, no one else. So that's going to lead to some concerns for people. But let's get into this. This is a bill which has yet to be introduced into the House of Representatives, and it doesn't have a date. It doesn't have a number on it. So, to designate residents of South Africa as priority 2 refugees of special humanitarian concern and for other purposes. Exactly what I said the status would be. Priority 2. That's what I said from the very beginning. So that's what he's latched onto here. The short title of this act is called the Asylum for Farmers and Refugees in Crisis and Necessary Immigration Resettlement Act, which spells out incorrectly Afrikaner Act because there's a C, not a K. Also, it's not asylum. But in order to be clever and catchy, he's called it the Asylum for Farmers and Refugees in Crisis and Necessary Immigration Resettlement Act, or Afrikaner Act. So that's problematic. I think that was foolish to include the word asylum, which muddies the waters. Designation of certain residents of South Africa as priority 2 refugees. On the second page of this proposed act, residents of South Africa who are members of the Caucasian minority group and have suffered persecution or have a well-founded fear of persecution on account of their race, ethnicity, or ancestry. Now, he's asking for priority two category for special humanitarian concern, and then he lays down what the law is. The law actually says if you're an individual who has been persecuted, suffered persecution, or has a well-founded fear of persecution, like a gay person in Damascus, then you can get refugee status. But the problem is that that's unnecessary. President Trump has identified Afrikaners as a priority two group of special concern, and he addresses priority two special concern here. So this is the problem. This bill will not go forward the way it is. It will have to be amended. I can't imagine that Congress votes on this. And besides, it's not necessary. Okay. Processing individuals described in subsection A for classification as refugees may occur in South Africa or in a third country. So that is an interesting distinction. If this law does take place, this could help a lot of South Africans who currently live abroad, okay? Or at least are abroad temporarily, or in a third country. All right? That language would mean that if you were working in Dubai and you're South African, or working in the U.S. on an H-2A visa for agriculture, you could apply. Well, third country wouldn't be the U.S. That's the second country. So I'm sorry, I correct myself. A third country, if you're in Chile on a brief stay, you could apply. But again, the law says if you're permanently resettled somewhere, you cannot get refugee status. So that is going to be in conflict with existing law. So I'm not sure how that'll play out. Again, this will have to be reviewed by lawyers. Now, who is eligible for admissions under the representative's proposed law? An alien may not be denied an opportunity to apply for admission as a refugee under this section, primarily because such an alien qualifies as immediate relative of a citizen of the United States. So if you have a family member who's a citizen of the U.S., you can't be denied. Because normally if you're a citizen of the United States, your family members can't get refugee status. You cannot be denied because you're eligible for admission to the United States under other immigrant classification. So typically if you're eligible to come to America as an immigrant or a visa lottery winner, you can't become a refugee. In this case, he wants to make sure it's clear there's an exception. So facilitation of admissions. An applicant for admission to the United States from South Africa may not be denied primarily on the basis of a politically motivated arrest, detention, or other adverse government action taken against such applicant as a result of the applicant's race, ethnicity, or ancestry. So what that is saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that he is recognizing that the government of South Africa may have bogusly, illegitimately arrested or detained people because of the race. And therefore, if you've been arrested, charged, and or convicted for crime in South Africa, you're not automatically rejected from the program, which is what I've said all along. If you've committed a crime, just be honest with them. If you've been convicted of crime or charged of crime, tell them. If you're innocent, plead your case. You may get in. Exclusion from numerical limitations. This is perhaps the most important of all the things that are said in this document, because all these people keep running their mouths. Well, America can't handle all these refugees. America can't take. What if it gets closed? Only if it's only 10,000. Now remember, what's going on with President Trump is completely separate from what this representative is doing. But in the pink down here at the bottom, we'll read to you. Exclusion from numerical limitations, because the annual program or estimation or projection for refugees has limits. In 2023, the most recent year data is available because the President of the United States must submit a report to Congress every year. That's the most recent report, 2023. The 2024 report has not been submitted yet that we know of. The 2023 report is a matter of public knowledge. I've read that report, and thank you, Michelle Heath, for becoming a member. The 2023 refugee report, refugee and asylum report to the Congress had a limit of 40,000 Africans. 7.6 million Africans currently in refugee camps registered who want to get out. 40,000. We actually had other special categories for Africa, but the point is that only about 130,000 people were supposed to come that year. This program that is being made by, this law that he wants to pass, says that aliens provided refugee status under this section shall not be counted against any numerical limitation under sections 201, 202, 203, or 207 of the Immigration and Nationality Act. So, you don't count against the toll. That means as many people as want to come that we can absorb can come. That's huge, if in fact that's true. In other words, if it becomes the law, that would be massive. But again, this is a bill. Bills go before Congress. They get debated. Okay, Rohan, don't get too excited. It's a bill. It's not a law. People need to get that through their head, okay? People overreact and people overassume. This is a bill that is being introduced in the House of Representatives by one member out of 435 members of the House of Representatives. It's a Republican conservative from Texas. The bill must get through committee, then it must get to the floor. It must be voted on. Once it's voted on, it must be sent to the Senate. The Senate has to agree with the bill. Seldom do they agree with existing bills. They typically amend it, which means they vote on it, then it has to go back to the House to see if they accept the version is. Then they have to vote again. If they vote again, then it goes to the president. If not, they change it. It goes back to the Senate, plays back and forth. And this is how bills work. So don't get overly excited, okay? Also, as I said to you folks, this bill is wholly unnecessary. But if a member of Congress wants to do this, that's a good sign for South Africans from the standpoint that it means that somebody in Congress is paying attention to your perceived plight, which is what I've been saying all along. Okay, now there are reporting requirements. Congress is telling the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State that you must report to us once this is law. Once, and this is typical for many laws, once this is law, but this reporting is more frequent than it normally is. After 6 months, 180 days from the enactment of this law, the day it's passed, and then every 90 days after that, the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security must submit a report to Congress. Kobe Swart, thank you. Thank you for upgrading your membership. Platoon leader, that's awesome. Thank you. They must submit a report to Congress. So 6 months after the law is passed, and then every 3 months after that. That is a lot of updates. And it must include the following at a minimum: the total number of applications that are pending at the end of the reporting period, the average wait times for all applicants who are, as of the date of the report, awaiting, employment verification, pre-screening and interview with Resettlement Support Center, an interview with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the completion of security checks, as well as the number of denials and of applications for refugee status disaggregated by the reason for each such denial. So what they're saying is that they're going to be watching. Ek watch y'all. Ek watch y'all. That's what Congress is telling Cornet Chainsaw Van Heekerk, became a member. Thank you. Congress is telling these executive branch agencies, when this is law, we are watching you. You must report back to us every 90 days. That is a very frequent report requirement, folks. That is a huge effort. It will require a lot of manpower to do that stuff. So the point here is that Troy Nels from Texas is listening to somebody and has proposed a law, a U.S. law that will affect Afrikaners specifically, but only white Afrikaners. Only white Afrikaners. That's his bill. That is not the program that is before the country right now that we're waiting for an update from the State Department. So that program that Trump has already begun could continue in earnest without this law. This law could pass, and then it could be in addition to it, or it could supersede it. But it's up to the president because it has to go to the House, it has to go to the Senate, it has to get out of both those bodies, and it has to go to the president. He has to sign it into law. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Does that make sense, everybody? Are you all tracking with me? Because I know a lot of people get very confused by this, understandably so. And there's another super chat from Gideon Lewis in Japan. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, I am. You're big in Japan tonight. Big in Japan. Oh, from the eastern sea so blue. It's my reason when you're big in Japan. Winter city side. Snowflakes all around. The wind in my hair. I had no illusions. Alphaville, man. Big in Japan. Good stuff, man. I love it. Thank you, Gideon. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. One of my favorite songs of all time.
Brought to you by...
All right, so Yappy's got it. Okay, I'm getting the impression that Congress has no idea, or it's a skewed, vague idea of the history. Never got. Well, when Mari, I'm pretty sure that's the case with Congress, and this is the problem when they don't hire people like me to inform them. That's their mistake. Their mistake. They just rely on contractors. Winter City side. No, why would we study South African schools? Why would we study? You're betraying your age, as we all know the words of Big in Japan. Oh, our age. Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it, Sean? It is awesome. Now we're talking, yeah. Seen it? Yes, I've seen about it, but I haven't had time to read it, folks. I'm very busy. There are a lot of things I've been reporting. I reported a security bill. I didn't report on a big story that's here, and I'll probably make a video on this. But this one, it's just I don't have enough evidence of it yet, so I've held back. But there's a story that the African National Congress's DERCO was aware of Hamas's terrorist attack before it took place, and coordinated with Hamas to help get them on the stage for the International Criminal Court, or the International Court of Justice, excuse me, ICJ. That's shocking news if in fact it's true, but I wouldn't put it past the ANC. We are old but not redundant. There you go. All right. So, Micheline says, not if one route can get in the way of another route. What are you talking about? You talking about if the law gets in the way of the program? Yeah. Yes, Vincent, they need to hire me, but they're not doing that, are they? Furious, welcome to you. Joe Cruiser, hello to you as well. All right, so folks, that's the rundown on this law. It took me, about 15 minutes to get that explained. It's not a law, it's a bill at the moment, and we'll see what happens. Copy has become a member. Thank you, Copy. Thank you. Good to see you. Did you change your avatar? Okay. Oh, that's a different copy. We have a copy with the IE, so. How big is the farm and what do you grow? What farm are you talking about, Gideon? What farm are you talking about? If Trump wants this bill, then it will happen because people are told how to vote. Trump gets his way because people don't go. Actually, Maj Fundermover, that's a big problem. The first administration, they went against Trump all the time. That's why the wall was never completed. That's why so many things he intended to do weren't done. This time, it's a little different mix. But there are people going against Trump. We just had Republican senators oppose Trump on a bill that passed in the Senate. Huge problems. It's how they knew the attack. Things are going to go. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Xavier, if South Africa knew about it, this is going to go very bad very quickly. Now, apparently the person knows about this as part of an NGO in London that's been investigating South African criminal activity and shared this information with Brent Bozell. That's what the story says. We're going to get into that story here shortly. I have no confirmation whatsoever. I'm making no allegations. I'm simply reporting what the Independent Line reported. Well, Renell, my expectation... Benjamin Grummer, please could you be so kind as to drop a link to where we can get a copy of the bill? I don't know where you can get a copy of it. It was sent to me by multiple sources. It has not been registered in the House, so you're not going to be able to get it right now. So back to where we're at here. So Ronell, does it mean that the refugee program will kick off while they're working the bill? My expectation, Ronell, is in fact that would be the case. The Trump administration believes this is an urgent situation, so I would expect that in fact they would in fact do exactly that. They would start the program. If the law comes in effect, then they would comply with the law. And you could very well have a situation where Trump's program, I'm not saying it's going to be the case, but it could include Afrikaners and multiracial Afrikaners, multiracial background, or it could include ethnic minorities. That program could be running, and then this program comes into effect by law. Trump signs it, and then it's one that's exclusively dedicated to Afrikaners. And you could run parallel things. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of moving parts, but I don't want to skip this story. I want to tell you as best I can, analyzing what this bill says. So for those of you who don't know how bills work in America, they're introduced normally in the House of Representatives, but not exclusively, sometimes in the Senate. There are two legislative bodies, the bicameral legislature. The House of Representatives is the People's House, and is divided up of 435 representatives based on population. The average population size for a congressional district in the United States, I say average because Wyoming has one member. They don't even have a population large enough to warrant, but they get a minimum of one. California has a lot. So the average size is about 760,000 to 780,000 people. So, and that's all over the country. And so some congressional districts are geographically huge. Wyoming has one district, the whole state. Some states have a bunch of districts. New York, Pennsylvania, we have 17 districts, congressional representatives in D.C. Texas has, 40 or something like that. So that's 42, 40, 45. And so that's how that works. The House, and then you have the Senate, which is the senior body of the bicameral legislature. The Senate has 100 members, 2 for every state, and the senators represent the states not the people specifically, although they do represent the people. But their primary mission is to be there to represent the states. Remember that the concept of our country is a union of sovereign states, where the Constitution and federal law are preeminent, but the states remain sovereign in many respects. Hence, that's why we have every state has different driver's license, every state has different hunting regulations, every state has different income taxes or doesn't have income tax, different sales taxes, different requirements. Many things are similar. All things must be in accord with the highest law of the land, which is the Constitution. So the Senate has 50 people or 100 people in it, and the House has 435. So that's where you get 535 members in the Electoral College, plus 3 for the District of Columbia. They're not a state, but they get 3 representatives, so that makes 538. That's when you hear the phrase 538. That's about the number of Electoral College votes that the United States has. Helen Deswart, thank you for your membership. Appreciate that. Oh, we got a bunch of people getting gifted memberships here. Who's it from? Van, or who did it? Carrie McDougall did it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to turn that off for a minute because I can't keep up with that. It's just a second. So that's now a bill will get introduced. Here's the bill. I'm a member of the House of Representatives. I read up this bill, which has problems in my view. Write this thing up, and we send it in, and we propose it. It goes to a committee. Committee reviews it. They decide whether they're going to vote on it or not, and then it goes to the floor of the House. They take a vote, and they vote on it. It has to pass. Okay. Once it passes, it goes to the Senate. They review it. If they agree with it, they vote on it. If not, they put amendments in it. It goes back to the House. They have to vote on it again. So a bill can go back and forth for weeks or months on end, even years throughout a congressional term before it gets to the president. Once both the House and the Senate are in agreement, they vote on it. It goes to the President of the United States, and the President gets to review it, decide whether to sign it into law. So this hopefully makes sense. When we were, what do you mean by that, Alan? How can coloreds and Indians prove that they're discriminated against when they're not? I don't know what planet you're on, Major Fund of Ever. What planet are you on, claiming that whites and Indians are not that coloreds and Indians are not discriminated against? I'm not sure what planet you live on, but the planet I visit, where South Africa is located on this globe, I see every day Indians and coloreds being discriminated against under the law in South Africa, and in practice, in violation of law. Of course, they'll blame Jan van Riebeck. Pretty soon they'll blame Chris Wyatt. Yep. Tandile Babalawa Sunduz's expulsion. What is this? Is this something new? Tandile. I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard anything about that. South Africa's Consul General in Los Angeles has been given her marching orders by the U.S. State Department. She was the second highest ranking South African diplomat in the U.S. Her exit follows the recall of Brigadier General Richard Mopani, South Africa's military attaché to Washington, and reports on Sunday Times U.S. is cutting military assistance. South Africa is refusing to withdraw its genocide case. Sandile was earlier this year honored by the vehemently anti-Israeli Los Angeles branch of the Council of American Islamic Relations. Well, there you go. This is the first I heard of this. The only report on this internationally is in the Jewish report, South African Jewish report. Wow. No one else is carrying that story. Let me see if I find, let me look again. Yeah, they said there's a story about her being somewhat embarrassing in 2020. Her term was extended in March of 2024. They call her a diva. Huh. Well, I'm going to have to cover that story. Thanks for the heads up. Yes, that's because they modeled it in some respects off our system. Except the difference is a bill can't stay on the president's desk forever. In South Africa, apparently it can. Yeah. It's only there for 30 days. I haven't really talked about the EFF March to Iran on April 22nd. I'm not all that interested in it right now. We'll see if it actually materializes. That's 18 days away. It might take them 18 days to locate Irania on the map or find their way there. BE discriminates against colors and Indians as well. Exactly, Arthur. In practice, they're also discriminated against, but they have more pay preference than whites. Yes, Tomahawk, but they're still discriminated against. Discrimination. My Indian neighbor's daughter cannot get in nursing college because BE. There you go. Virtual Western Cape, exactly what I said. Okay. Helen thanked Kerry for the membership. ANC can sweep it under the carpet. They can't get away with it anymore. US, yeah, no, they can't. It's all being exposed now. The rats are exposed to the daylight, and they are scared to run. They don't know which way to go. Yes, Etienne, I've already mentioned that that's a story. I have confirmation of it, but since it's in the press, I'm going to cover it, and I'll cover that shortly. Audrey says USA should protect white Africa. USA should protect white Afrikaners. Why, Audrey? Why should the USA do that? We're not protecting white Irish. Seems to be no distinction between pro-apartheid and pro-apartheid era by many majority. Yeah, no, there is no distinction. There's no distinction whatsoever. Oh, yeah, okay, Alan, yeah. When we were, yeah. No, I got you. But there's a dangerous phrase with that. When we were, a lot of people interpret as the racist era. So I didn't know where you're going with that. Major Fund America, it really doesn't matter what AfriForum's video says. You know, I don't really care what AfriForum said in their video. I'm not going to sit here and ignore oppression and discrimination against people just because they don't look like I do. I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. People are discriminated against, whether white, brown, or black, need protection. They need to be respected. Discrimination, unjust discrimination based on skin pigmentation is a morally bankrupt idea. So I don't care what AfriForum puts in a video about how whites are discriminated against. That isn't the topic here. The topic here is about Afrikaners and the description of Afrikaners. So, you know, they can say that all they want, Major, but that doesn't make it true. That you know, the degree in the law of discrimination, because this basis for where you're coming on, Major, and all this stuff is about, well, BE says blacks and Asians and Indians are all black and coloreds are black. But in practice, it isn't how it works. The law isn't adhered to in South Africa. It's a gangster land. It's a gangster's paradise. The government does what it wants. The strong will do what they want, and the weak will suffer what they must. That's the bottom line here. So you can tell me the law is this, the law is that. It really doesn't matter, because those people are discriminated against just as much. Or not maybe to the same degree, but they're discriminated against. All right. Well, you know, I'm not going to leave the chat on if people are going to act stupid in the chat. Okay. So when was that? That was at 12 p.m., 12 a.m. What if a civil war breaks out in the interim? Will this change? Probably. Yeah, I definitely would, Francois. Definitely would change it. Yep. Not qualify for schools because of race really cooks my bacon. I have a young straight A cousin who got dropped from vet science because she could not maintain 95% average. Yeah, that's ridiculous. This alienation of USA by South seems to be a concerted effort by the... Yes, Charles, it sure does, doesn't it? Waterberg Karate Development Fund. You're in tears. Why are you in tears? Received an email from Afrikaners. A bill has been tabled in Congress outlining the Afrikaner Act, asylum for farmers and refugees. That's what we're talking about, Claudine. You're a bit late to the program. I started talking about that 35 minutes ago. I've already shown the bill that's there. I alerted the Afrikaners to it. I don't know if they knew about it before I alerted them to it, but I did alert them to it. I think Sam is in the chat, or at least was earlier. President's executive order actually makes this proposed bill superfluous. Yes, flux capacitor. That would be my argument. But I think the bill is counterproductive because it says Caucasians. That's it. I think that's counterproductive. That's just going to give the racists something along with. See, I only care about white people. They're all a bunch of racists. And I think it's counterproductive. So that's unfortunate. Elizabeth Krieger said, "Worse, the situation gets worse. What happens then? Terrible things are already happening." Well, there are operational security issues here. I'm not in the government, and I'm not going to say what they're going to do. I know what they can do. Let me just put it this way. It won't be pretty for South Africa. Yes, Charles, the spotlight is on, and it stayed on. And they're scurrying. This by no means law yet and does not supersede the executive order. Correct. And even if he does sign a law, it doesn't necessarily supersede. He still has the authority to determine groups of people outside this law. So yeah, it wouldn't affect Trump's efforts unless he just stopped following his own efforts and followed the law exclusively. "20 years feeding government until they cut spending and pass a bill that limits white companies to do work." There's a rat in my kitchen. There's a rat on my stoop. Hey, Hendo, we got 239 likes. When are they going to stand up for what's right? When is who going to stand up, Kurtz? The United States is the only country that protects multiple countries. Well, I'm not sure if that's true, Anthony. I mean, technically, treaty members and NATO protect each other, but I get your point. Well, there are no sanctions on the EFF or ANC leaders. No, there aren't. There's talk about it. A lot of people talking about it, but until Commerce and or the Treasury Department implements it, that's just talk. I don't even watch official news. Just watch Chris Wyatt from South Africa News. Well, thank you, Tiny Players. I appreciate that. Today I was in a teleconference with some folks abroad, and my name was mentioned several times. It was very complimentary. I was very pleased and very kind of people to say nice things about me. But people talk, and I realized the number of people who are watching my channel because I look at the views and I don't look at the unique number of viewers. And the unique number of viewers is shockingly high for a channel that's this size. I'm very pleased by it. Thank you all so much for that. By the way, also March was incredible. We're I don't know how we'll do in April. We'll see how we do in April. And it's going to be hard because I got some travel in April. I'm not going to be able to keep to my normal schedule. So we'll see how it goes if I'm able to keep up the pace and keep you all interested and keep you informed. But March of 2025 was unbelievably successful on the channel. Let me put this in perspective for you all. You guys listening? My original channel had 23,000 subscribers and almost 3 million views in 9 months. Well, and in about 5 months, actually. About 5 months. That was incredible. Then they censored me and YouTube shut my channel down. They gave it back 2 years later after they did the damage, but they took it away. So I started this channel in April of 2021 within days of losing my original channel, just in case I never got it back. So I started this channel and started over from scratch, which was tough. It took a while to get back to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of content so I could live stream, and then went from there. Getting it monetized again was not so challenging, but anyway, took off. And I'm sorry, I had to get 1,000 subscribers to live stream, 4,000 hours to monetize. So took off, and from April of 2021 till 2024, then to December 31st of 2024, so almost 4 years, just under 4 years, this channel had 3.4 million views. 3.4 million views. That's not bad. That's respectable. That's a lot of work, a lot of videos, 2,300 videos, something like that, 2,200 videos. Yeah. A lot of work, a lot of live streams, a lot of long hours put in for my audience who are very loyal, and I'm grateful for that. But I realized that we're never going to go anywhere because YouTube doesn't let us go anywhere. But, ladies and gentlemen, March of 2025. Remember, almost 4 years to get to 3.4 million views. In March of 2025, this is the number of views that this channel received because of you, the folks out there watching, and the trolls who are on here too, the trolls watching. So thank you to the trolls watching my content. But here you go. 4,110,779 views in March of 2025. That is 700,000 more views than the channel got in nearly 4 years. That's insane. That's insane. Thank you so much for that. Thank you all so much. Bye bye. Danke, quelle bois. Merci mille fois. Ich bedanke mich. Wow. That's insane. Michelle Heath, a 35 Rand super chat. Thank you for that. Sent a video on WhatsApp related to disarmament security groups. I haven't got to it, Marius. Thank you for that. I'll try to get to it, but there's only so many hours in the day, and my consulting is filling me up during the day. Tomorrow I've got to see the dentist, then I've got consulting. If I make it back in time, the Lions are on the Challenge Cup, and I'll be covering the game, but I don't know if I'll make it back in time for the Lions. So I will be doing the Bulls on Saturday and then the Sharks on Sunday. The Stormers are out. They screwed up. Jaretha, welcome to you. And then Odin's Viking, self-defense will no longer be a valid reason to own a firearm. Exactly. Exactly. Only criminals have firearms and cops. What is said and what is done are two different things. Not opposites, but different things. Suzette Bota, welcome to you. Tiny players, my dad and I discussed with colors and being more Afrikaner than my forefathers. Yeah, gotcha. Solomon Crocodile, understand the issue with Afriform solidarity. Just because others are oppressed, they should not highlight the oppression of Afrikaners. Well, no, I do understand their logic, Solomon. They're responsible for the Afrikaner community. So that's who they cater to primarily. It's not exclusively. So I understand why they would do that. But what I'm saying is that if they claim that others aren't oppressed, then that's simply factually wrong. Need some happy news? Well, we'll get you some happy news. Thank you. That is the reality we experience. So Virtual Western Cape, we'll get you some happy news. Any form of discrimination on any race is abhorrent and appalling. Thank you, Xavier Grayling. That's where I come from. That is my position. That's why it's so comical to see the hate wankers steal my content and call me a racist and a white supremacist and all this other bullshit, this slander and this libel that they throw at me. It's just comical. They're just stupid morons. Have you seen the video series on YouTube where American reacts to tastings? No, I haven't seen that. I bet that would be funny. Yep. What'd you miss out on? Well, Quids, you're a bit late. Texas congressman has introduced a bill which is muddy the waters on refugee resettlement in South Africa. You have to go back and watch the beginning of the video, but it's probably a good thing, despite the fact that he's kind of muddied the water. Okay. All right. Who else we got here? I think your clock is outdated. I really don't understand how people watch my videos and go, "You got the wrong year on there. It's not 2022. It's 2025." That's not a year. That's not a year. That's a temperature. So I love how people are subject matter experts on things. And also, it's not 6 o'clock because I'm not in South Africa. The clock reflects the time of where I'm at. I'm sitting on the East Coast of the United States. It is my time. The whole point of putting the clock up there is so people would recognize that it's a different time, different part of the world. So anyway. All right. Vincent Peter, the new proposed, whoops, where'd it go? Wow, we got some super chats here that came in. I didn't even see them. Sorry. All right, I'm falling behind on the chat here and didn't even realize it. The new proposed laws concerning security is a real concern. It is. It's a very big concern. Audrey says, yeah, it's kind of scary to talk about race nowadays, but come on, multiculturalism has failed. Every people group is totally different. Yeah, I'm not a multiculturalism fan. Just respect for other cultures, yeah. The FF has been around you before. They just want some attention. Exactly. Cool pressing. Or, yeah, cool piecing. Yeah, they're just attention seeking, just like most things they do. Charles, I think it will distract because it will distract the racist in South Africa's government and in the media. That's what they'll latch onto. See, it's racist. It's only for whites. That's what they're going to do. So Representative Nels has not helped the situation, but neither has the Trump administration. If they had identified who by now, it would have helped. Some arguments make the head hurt, but random input. Remember, after Reform Solidarity, rely on your subscription fees to stay in business. Well, their 300,000 members are not coming to the States. Some will, but not 300,000. So they're going to be fine. What if your spouse is Indian, but you're white? Well, of course she'll be allowed in the program. They're not going to leave you. They're not going to break up a family. No. Yeah. So. The Caucasian reference is playing nicely in the rest of Soul's rhetoric. Exactly, when Mario, it's stupid. I don't know what the hell's wrong with Representative Nels. That's just dumb. That's just dumb. Jess says, good morning, Chris. Thank you for once again keeping us in the know. I'm just glad that there's movement on this. Yep. Claudine, Reform and Solidarity are freaking out because they will lose a lot of subscriptions from Caucasians. Yeah, I don't think that's what's actually happening. But what do you think about Trump's reciprocal tariffs basically just being a reaction to the U.S. trade deficit with each country and not a reaction to actual tariffs being charged? Okay. Well, I don't agree, Stefan Miller. You're reading the fake news and believing what they tell you. If you don't like the formula that Trump came up with, I would ask, what formula will you come up with? How will you calculate in currency manipulation, artificial trade barriers, and actual tariffs into one figure? If you don't like how they came up with it, and there's merit to not liking it, my big ask is, what would you use? What would you use? So it's not simply the trade deficits. Actual tariffs are applied here. What do I think about it? I think it's about time. I'm tired of America being exploited by the rest of the world. Fair trade my ass. There's no fair trade. We've been getting screwed for years. I mean, look, I have no problem with the African Growth and Opportunity Act because it was supposed to foster good governance, respect for human rights, respect for property rights. But what has it done? It's enriched the ANC by bringing money to their country at a trade deficit for us, and they're stealing land every day. Shishejo in Limpopo, East London. We've covered this. Northwest, land is being stolen. Nothing's being done about it. People are being abused. Little is being done about it. It's being ignored. So respect for human rights, respect for property rights, completely ignored and abrogated by the government of South Africa. Yet we give duty-free access. That doesn't make any sense. The South African government imposed a 75% tariff on our poultry. I think a lot of people forgot that. That was a brazen. So someone commented on a video and say, well, it's, you know what, yeah, Americans. I'm like, what? Wah, 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 wah. Someone came on with some stupid comment complaining on my video, which I didn't bother to respond to, talking about, you know, it's illegal under international law. There's no international law, dingbat, doorknob. No international law. There are treaties. It's not law. There's no sovereign international government that has authority over this nation or over your nation. The AU, the African Union, has no sovereignty over South Africa. The European Union has sovereignty over the idiot countries that joined the European Union because they're fools. That's why the Brits left. But no international body has sovereignty over this one. We voluntarily acquiesce and join treaties and agree to comply with them voluntarily. No such thing as international law that governs us. No. And as far as tariffs, that's governed by the World Trade Organization. And imposing a 75% tariff on U.S. poultry imports is a violation of World Trade Organization rules. South Africa did that. And what did we do to retaliate? Nothing. Because we didn't want to hurt South Africa. So for the loudmouth dingbat doorknobs that want to attack America and lie about America, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Simple as that. As simple as that. South Africa imposed onerous tariffs, illegal tariffs, from a standpoint of violating the World Trade Organization rules, 75%. They never sought arbitration about the issue to protect the poultry industry in South Africa. That's why they did it. It's just wrong. Okay, where are we at here? See this morning news that the ANC knew about. Yes, Falcon, I'm going to cover that. I happen to make a video on that, so I'll do that. Jean de Souza, Fort Lauderdale. Wow, good to hear you down there. How's things down there in Florida? Louis Bice says, thank you for everything you do. All Afrikaners here appreciate all the effort that you put in your reporting. $20 super chat. Thank you for that. That's very kind. That's half the super chats come in. Just one thank you list. Do you think that the minorities will get support from USA if Southern breaks out in civil war? Yeah, oh yeah, Francois. No doubt. I think that'll happen. Yep. U.S. needs to bring industry back, period. Yep. That's a first. I'm getting ad interruptions in the live stream. Arne Tennyson, yeah, that is good for my program. That's sorry for the interruptions, but thank you for watching them. The ad revenue does help, and we need the ad revenue. It's been a while, but not intentionally. Just been crazy this side. Well, Dylan Harwood, good to see you back there. Yeah, it's a bit crazy world. I'm working 15, 18 hours every day since January 16th. It's exhausting, but it's important. An objective, fair-minded voice has to be in this conversation. Caters and the other parties, not. Yeah, I don't doubt that. The DA has caters. Yep. New law regarding private security. Yep, we've covered that. Oh, how cool would it be if you could get Neil's? Well, I'm going to try to get him on, Jess. Yep. Why would this bill even be tabled under the executive order? Is there not a protocol route? No. Amerikaners, no. Members of Congress can put bills out anytime they want on anything, and they do it for political purposes all the time. Bills that have no chance of seeing the light of day get introduced. I mean, impeachments go out there. They get no ground just to make a statement against judges, against the president. Yeah. So, I mean, look, the two impeachments that Trump went through had no chance of succeeding because they were both fraudulent. There were no basis. And by the way, an impeachment is not a trial. There's a trial conducted, but it's not a criminal trial. It's a political trial. So yeah, so members of Congress put bills in all the time. Rename post offices, look for attention. I think that Troy Nels is looking for attention here. So, well, thank you, Craig Pauls. That's very kind of you to say that. El Marie, hello to you, Etienne. Thank you. Yeah, so Amerikaners, I think that's, the Amerikaners are here. Hey, Sam. I think that, I don't know. I have to talk to Troy Nels and find out what his motivation is. Unfortunately, I will, well, maybe in the morning I can get through to his office. I could try that because my dental appointment's at 9, so maybe I'll get lucky. Okay. It helps in that it highlights the plight of South Africans, but it will also muddy the waters. Exactly, Charles. That's what I say. Okay, Yaku Basson, welcome to you. Oh my God, come on, Google. What's going on with Google? Are you talking about the ads, Audrey? Okay. Flam says, wow. Julie says, wow. What's the wow for? Wonder how much this march today will cost us taxpayers. No idea. Many of your videos get views on par with Tim Pool. Pretty darn impressive. Actually, yeah, Solomon. Look, it is. Thank you. But that's you all watching my content. Buy a donkey. Merci mille fois. I can make great content. Nobody watches. I've been making great content. I mean, look at the Ruud Constantia video. Let's see. Let me see. Wine. If anybody's watched that. I've asked people to watch that. Yeah, there you go. So let's see how it's doing now. It has 1,500 views. If I don't pimp this video, people don't watch it. I'd ask all of you that are here, if you haven't watched it, go watch this video when you get a chance. Open a tab and save it. This is a really good. Now, this is the same video I reloaded that was on the channel from 2022. The Pet Zoo film crew was the filmmaker, and I'm the on-air personality. This is my first trip back to South Africa after the COVID nonsense, and I went back and we did this. The documentary on Ruud Constantia. I just arrived after a grueling trip from Pennsylvania west to Chicago, the wrong direction. Chicago with a mask on a Lufthansa flight all the way to Frankfurt, 12 hours. Frankfurt, all day in the airport, no mask. Back on a flight, the only major airline in the world still requiring people to wear masks. From there to Cape Town. Arrived in Cape Town, Pet Zoo film crew met me at the airport, and a few hours later, or the next day, we were over at Ruud Constantia the next day. It was pretty wild. And then we filmed this documentary. Not a lot of people watched it. I mean, this should be something that has millions of views. I mean, it's pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. Just a quick snippet about that. Hey, folks, this is Chris. In August of 2022, I returned to South Africa after the COVID lockdown for the first time in a couple of years. On my arrival, I was greeted at the airport by none other than a nascent filmmaker, the Pet Zoo film crew, none other than Juan Muller. Fantastic, warm welcome. I felt very comfortable arriving back in South Africa. He gave me a ride to my lodging, went out to dinner that evening, and then he took me the next day over to a place I'd scheduled an interview at Ruud Constantia, the oldest surviving vineyard in South Africa. What a day it was. We met the CEO, showed us all around the place. Fantastic experience, and learned an awful lot about the wine industry in the early days and since then in South Africa. What follows is that original documentary. Fantastic job he did with this. Unfortunately, it languished as my channel disappeared on YouTube, and we're bringing it back now. It's an oldie but a goodie, and I hope you enjoy this video about Ruud Constantia and the wine industry in South Africa. Feel free to leave a comment behind and share it with others. Thank you for your patronage. We're at the oldest wine vineyard in South Africa, established back in 1685, and that's Ruud Constantia. I hope I got that correct. Is that pretty good? Pretty good, pretty good. Okay. Pet Zoo film crew, how's it going? Excellent. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, that is sweet.
That's baie lekker.
But that is baie lekker.
Just smell it. You that musk flavor, it's amazing.
Yeah, the aroma is amazing. Well, this is the chief executive officer of Ruud Constantia. This is, in fact, the oldest vineyard in South Africa, yes?
Yeah, it's the oldest surviving vineyard in South Africa. You know, the South African wine industry started in 16...
So there you go, folks. Yeah, so that video languishes. I'd appreciate people watching that when you get a chance. Help it out. Give it a little boost there. But anyway, yeah, so there you have it. Yup, Tapper gave 140 Rand super chat. Thank you for that super sticker. Woot woot. Okay. Okay, Venice Nike. I'm Afrikaans white, but my husband is Indian, so we believe he can come with me. I believe he can too. Tom says, well done. Troico, they won't get your hair wet. What's do anyone else struggle to load Telegram? I don't. No way is this channel near Tim Pool. I didn't claim it was, Micheline. I didn't claim it was. I just thank people for watching my channel. There's no turning back. Yeah, there is no turning back flux capacitor. It's on like Donkey Kong. It's real, folks. It's real. Louis says, Chris, thank you for all your hard work. You're welcome. Good morning, all of us. Meantime, we need to have our plans and tools and tree. Yep, you need to be ready. Yep. All right, what else we got here? Let's Play Master. You do not need 1,000 subs or 4,000 hours watch something. Let's Play Master. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. I misspoke and I correct myself. You must have 1,000 subs to live stream. Now, that may not be the rule now, but no, you're wrong. It's not simply have a phone number. I've had YouTube channels since 2006. You cannot live stream. Maybe they've changed the rules now, but when I first started trying to live stream, I couldn't live stream until I had 1,000 subscribers. You can't monetize until you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of content viewed over the trailing 12 months. So, no. But thank you for saying that you're glad I found success, but no. No, all you need is your phone number. And where are you broadcasting from? These are the rules from the United States. That's where my channel's from. They may have changed since then. I mean, I created my original channel in 2006 or around that time frame, and I created my next channel when that was censored in 2021, and I created my rugby channel in 2021, and I created 3 other channels in 2021. So, yeah, those weren't the rules then. I can't live stream on many of my other channels because I haven't put effort into them and I don't have 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, Tomahawk. Oh, you guys talking about the 4 million views. I just realized with this how far behind I am. It's a lot of eyeballs. Yeah, it is. In winter, I'm white. In summer, I'm colored. I'm black, says Ben Mulder. Sloth Pupley. Cool beans. How you doing there, man? Well, I hope this month is lit, but my schedule is going to be awkward, folks. I've got a lot going on in April. I'm in, I'm out. I've got some travel going on, so keeping my schedules consistent. I need to warn you now. So this weekend I should be okay, but next weekend, so that's what, the 11th and 12th or something like that, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, I'm going to be very deeply decisively engaged. I may not be able to do the rugby. I may not be able to do streams. But what I will do is prepare a few videos and load them up so you've still got some content. Because YouTube is a what have you done for me in the last 5 minutes channel or platform. Otherwise, you lose viewers. So I'll prepare some videos, but I probably won't be able to do live streams on those days. Just a heads up, I'm not disappeared. I haven't been sent off to the Googlog. I already anticipate I've got some projects I got to be working on. So I'll remind you about that as the week goes along. Okay. Alt says I might be the only light in the darkness. Well, thank you for that. It's very kind of you. Nick Shemaiah David, good morning to you. The view is absolute. What's the view? The view, what are you talking about, the dystopian view? Information you give us is very helpful. People need to watch your videos before asking questions. I think that's a good idea, Cycling Journeys. May I bring my prize stud Afrikaner bowl? No, you may not. Etienne gave 140 Rand. Thank you for what you do, Colonel. Thank you for the super chat. Colonel Chris, we should be thanking you for all the time and effort you put in this, even with all you have going on. Still, without a fail, bring us news and love your channel. Thank you so much, Sync Master 99. I do. And I just get it, not by you, but I get attacked every day from people. My life has been threatened. People are really demonic. They ought to focus on people that actually, say some crazy stuff. Is there an institute in the U.S. that documents all the languages that are brought into America by immigrants? I'm sure somebody studies that. I'm not sure who, though. But Americans, about 80 million Americans speak a second language. Yep. And my chat just dumped on me, so I got to come back up here. Come on. There it is. There's the Etienne one. Okay. Welcome to the club. Okay. Morning. Stefan Ferre. Cycling Journeys gave 14 Rand. Thank you. Cycling Journeys for that super chat. Appreciate that super sticker. That's a breezy 6 degrees Celsius. Though that's not, you talking about the 22 degrees? No, that's Celsius. That's in Celsius. That's in Celsius. I do that because much of my audience is in Celsius. Not many Americans. Trump gave refugees to the whites because he also needs Rugby World Cup trophy. Well, there's a lot of people of color make great rugby players. Tendim Tawira, Damien Willemse. Yeah, the list is pretty extensive. Kurtley Arensay, rock star there. Cheslin Colby, rock star. This is the brightest Karens, huh? I like the clock. Our daughter in Boston does the same thing when she video chats us. Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. So on my clock, on the left-hand side, it has the days. It's hard to see the white day. The current day is in white, which is right there, Thursday. Then that's the hour. I have a 24-hour clock, so it should say 24 hours. And then you have the date, 4/4, April 4th, the temperature 22 degrees. Yep. A little warm in here tonight. Thanks for the answer. I only knew that the 22 was a room temperature, and the clock caught me off guard. No worries, tiny players. No worries. Adrian Furi, welcome to you. Lutki Bruma, hello. What are you apologizing for? 69% complete transcribed Colonel White's theme song will publish the cloud chord tap on Ultimate Guitar soon for everyone. Wow, okay. Okay, that's interesting, Mickey. Yeah, okay. Apparently, South African government knew. Yes, they knew ahead of time. African. I'm going to make a video on that when we're done here, so I'm going to have to do that. Too good a person to call you racist. And by the way, what is happening in South Africa is called racism. Yeah, no, Andrea, but I get called it all the time. You know, it doesn't matter that the people who call me that have never improved the lives of a single person of color in their lifetime. And I've saved hundreds of thousands of people from starvation. I have provided programs that kept hundreds of thousands of people from dying from HIV and from other diseases, and also been involved in peace operations that ensure the safety and security of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people. So what I've done in my lifetime, I can sleep well at night. The racists who attack me are just sad, pathetic losers who have their hands wrapped around their penis, and they should let go of it. Can't help but think that they're intentionally winding up Mississippi. Yeah, I think so. As a student in the 90s, I got grilled ripping Section 9 of the Constitution apart. Got really ugly, almost never got my degree. Dean had to intervene. Now we see Section 9 has been abused. Yep. If UFF causes cock in Irania, they will get massive hiding. Those guys are armed to the teeth. I have no idea if that's true or not. How long does it take from the time a bill is submitted to the House? There's no time on it, Tanya. It can take, Trump came in office last time, he had tax cuts within a few days, a couple weeks, because it was already written, and he pushed it through, and the Congress went along with him. But Congress can sit on bills for months at a time, so I wouldn't get too excited about this bill, other than the fact it's drawing attention to the situation in South Africa. Our government went and said the tariffs are unfair. That's a belief. Hey, Shawnee Groves, what's going on there? I never actually knew that South Africa was charging U.S. 6% tariffs. Well, tiny players, it's okay. So the formula that the Trump administration came up with, that isn't exactly a one-for-one tariff. That's currency manipulation. In South Africa, there's not much currency manipulation. It's also artificial barriers. Okay, so when you put quotas on, which reduce the impact, they came up with a formula, and this is how they came up with it. But there are tariffs on U.S. goods, and they are quite high. They are quite high. So a few years ago, they jacked up the tariffs on poultry to 75%. So let me see what the tariff on poultry is in South Africa. South African tariff on USA poultry, what it currently is, okay? Poultry products, okay? All right, so South Africa heavily restricts U.S. poultry exports through high tariffs, anti-dumping duties, and unjustified animal health restrictions. These barriers contribute to a 78% decline in U.S. poultry exports to South Africa, from 89 million in 2019 to just 19 million in 2024. Yep. So, yep. So there's a fact sheet on this, okay? Where's it at here? When did he release this? Is this today or April 2nd? This is in line with this. Let me find poultry. Find poultry. For decades, South Africa has imposed animal health restrictions that are not scientifically justified on U.S. pork products, permitting a very limited list of U.S. pork products to enter South Africa. South Africa also heavily restricts U.S. poultry exports through high tariffs, anti-dumping duties, and unjustified health animal restrictions. These barriers contribute to this decline. Yeah, so that's, I don't know the percentage here. I was trying to find it, but that comes up right away. So 14 hours ago, the Daily Investor made the following comment. South Africa imposes only 7.6 overall tariff on U.S. products from the United States by Driekus Grayling, but that's a dishonest statement. South Africa currently imposes 7.6 overall tariff on products from the United States and 8.5% agricultural imports. That's a lie. When I sent $75 worth of caps, $75 worth of caps on a personal level, not even a business, to Ronaldo, on behalf of other people, and a couple sachets of pumpkin spice latte, which were worth less than $10, so about $85 worth of goods to South Africa, which falls under the limit. You don't even have to pay tariff. They demanded $450 equivalent, $450 tariff for $85 worth of goods. So this is a lie. Driekus Grayling, I don't know where you get your information from, but in practice, the government of South Africa is brutal. And in that case, it was probably corruption. Just because it's listed as something doesn't mean that's what it is. So that was $450 they demanded. That was 8,500 Rand customs charge that they gave for something you're saying is 7.6%. See, I call bullshit, Driekus Grayling. I call bullshit because I know firsthand how crooked South African immigration and customs people can be. Yep. So, and let's put this in perspective. South Africa charges 8.5% of agricultural products. U.S. charges nothing on your agricultural products coming here, but you charge us 8.5% for our products going there. And you're saying overall tariff is 7.6. Well, our overall tariff to South Africa is 2.4% on goods that aren't covered by AGOA. So you are charging us 300% tariff, 300% tariff, 300% tariff. Anyway, yeah, so total nonsense here. Anyway, that's the reality here. 562 people currently here. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. Yep, so tiny players, that's not the actual tariff rate. It's just a calculation based on a number of factors. Trump's refugee program targets a valued portion of the population. The vast majority will product compared to other refugees. I think you're right, Charles, but not all. Not all. Oh, tariffs are going to destroy South Africa. First off, here's the situation. So you now have a 30% tariff on everything. Basically, AGOA is out the window. We haven't seen anything where exemptions apply. So basically, everything you're sending to America, automobiles, 25,533 in 2024, that's going to dry up. Why? Because you have a 30% tariff on your automobiles. Trump has imposed a 25% tariff on any automobile imports. So BMW, Daimler-Benz, Fiat ship their cars to America. They're 25% tariff. You got a 30% tariff. It already costs more to ship things on the infrequent ships that come from Cape Town or from Port Elizabeth, or not Port Elizabeth, from Durban, to load them up on ships and send it to the United States. That already costs a fortune more and takes longer than it does for the ones that ply the Atlantic every single day with lots of ships. I know because my Volvo, I shipped it over on the same boats that Volvo shipped their cars to America and got a discounted rate when I shipped my car. It was part of the package. It was actually free. I wasn't a discounted rate, but I paid a discounted rate when I came back. They let you do that. So when I bought my car, I get free shipping back to the States because it went on the same boat where they ship all the Volvos over. But that's not the case from South Africa. So you have a tariff that's now higher at 30% than the Europeans are paying to ship their cars. So you're screwed. You're screwed. 145,000 jobs tied to those exports. Yep. CGM. What does that mean, Amerikaners? Well, it's not just the masses. Educated people don't understand basic economics. It's shocking how ignorant people are about economics. And even some economists don't get it. What happens if Congress votes against the Afrikaner bill? Does that sign the assignment? Yes, of course it stands, my blood bore. The executive order by the President of the United States has nothing to do with a law. This is an executive order. Under the existing Immigration and Nationality Act of 1980, the President has discretion to issue this order. And he did. And it has the weight of law. It has the weight of law. Congress passed that law in 1980. No, none of these congressmen were there, except for maybe Nancy Pelosi. Maybe Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and Chucky Schumer were there in 1980. But most of the people in Congress weren't there in 1980 when that law was passed. So, yeah, his executive order stands. It's nothing, unless he rescinds it. Nothing to do with his law. That's why I say it's not necessary. Okay, Mickey. Didn't realize you're working on that. Okay. How's Army 3275's mom doing? I missed that. Yeah, international law is bullshit because it's not really law. So, I mean, we have an international accord called the Ottawa Protocol from 1997, which bans landmines. Wonderful. Landmines are atrocious. They're immoral. Great. The United States never signed it because of the inter-Korean border. We have mines all across the border, so the North Korean army doesn't come pouring across and attack South Korea like it did in 1950. So we didn't sign it because of that. Finland did sign it in 2012, 15 years after it came into effect, after they tore up 1 million mines on the Russian border that were there to prevent the Soviets from coming across. They tore them up because Russia had invaded. The Soviet Union invaded in 1939, attacked little old Finland, tried to crush them in the Winter War, and got their hat handed to them. They got their ass handed to them. Asseronius got their hat handed to them. So Finland joined in 2012. Well, in 2025, 13 years later, they've now abrogated the Ottawa Convention. They've left it, and they're now planning to put landmines all along the border with Russia. So that's international law. It only means as much as people are willing to do. So it doesn't work. Do the Trump know? What does the Trump know? I really don't care about the Iranian strike as Mari Kruger and Iranian. If they can actually find their way to Iranian, it ought to be entertaining. South Africa breached AGOA many years ago. Recent tariffs now Trump's AGOA. Yeah, exactly. America has been subsidizing the world while giving them free money. They all fall in line. It'll be good for everyone and force countries to act on behalf of their own people. Yeah, Amanda, good point. Aussie News is on fire complaining about how unfair reciprocal tariffs are. They are a bunch of Karen Solomon. Oh, you're in Australia. I didn't realize that. Chantel Fenter, welcome back, Chantel. Donald McDickle, 70 Rand Super Chat. Thank you for that. Stephen Nortkey, I bet the ANC wish they went for 5% VAT now. Soon I'm back to Mogadishu for work. Just pray our interview does not come up while I'm there. Well, yeah, Jean. Yeah, okay. Well, just have to pocket the money and come back. Or you could ask for them to reschedule because you're unavailable. You had to say, I had to go, I had to travel. I'm not available. So don't say I went abroad. Just say I had to travel. If we like it or not, the word Afrikaner has always been associated with white, racist people. It's up to us to change that point of view. Yes, hot full bikers, I agree. And I'm trying to change that. Okay. Lesson 1, friends and family only. With everything going on, it's hard to keep track. Do we know what happens when you get to America under the act or where one goes? Hano Kutsia, yeah, we've covered this. Please watch the videos. I mean, okay, that's, it's all there. Here's my Substack. Just go to the Substack. Please subscribe if you don't mind. It's free. I don't charge people for my Substack articles. Just go to Substack. And I'll pin that in a second at the top. So go to Substack. And you will find the videos, okay? All right, so it's pinned at the top now. Yeah, you'll go where the Homeland Security puts you because we have an absorptive capacity. We can't just dump you in the middle of Kansas where there's no sponsors and no programs to support you and no jobs and no housing. That's stupid. Then you'd be living in tents. Would it be possible to interview me at the U.S. Embassy in Mogadishu? Not likely, Jean. Not likely. It's illegal unless they come up with something that allows them to do it. Audrey says, Goeiemorgen, Colonel, on Meda Americanas. Great news. Okay. Okay. Saskia Guy, welcome to you. I wonder if we were allowed to compete in the next World Cup. Paul Ferraro, what's up, man? Zone in Prime, hello to you. Saw a video of Trump in 1994 on Opera. Back then, he said, USA have to stand up. Yeah, he's been saying it all along. Trump has been consistent about how we've been getting a raw deal from countries around the world since going back to the early 80s. Yep. All right, Martin. Mandy from Royan, watched The Wine. Awesome information. Thank you, Mandy. I thought it was, by the way, I think that Juan Miller did a fantastic job, as a filmmaker on that. Really did. He turned my experience into something pretty cool. I wonder if you should ever return here. Our government might. Okay. Well, thank you, Jason Bernard. Again, I'm going to start punishing people for saying things like that. Okay. Really don't need that comment in there. 22. Oh, man. Jesus Christ. I swear to God. People just don't understand when you open your mouth what it does. Why is it not coming here? Damn it. I can't get back that far. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, I can't do that. So now, what's in my chat? I've committed no acts, so stop talking about that stupid stuff, all right? Or you're just going to get blocked. You people do realize that this channel is watched by intelligence services, by the media. We know that because they steal my content and write stories about it and then falsely portray who I am. So we know they do. We've seen the Daily Maverick do it. We've seen Newsroom Africa do it. We've seen News 24 do it. So, use a little bit of common sense, the things you say in chat about yourself and about me, all right? It's not hard to ask. It's a simple ask, okay? Use a little bit of common sense, all right? Really, people just don't think before they type. Sea freight rates are very expensive in the States, depending on the vessel. Yep, exactly, Sir Blythe. Hey, light rain's back. Washington State's being further warmer than most people who live in Canada. Love Pacific influence, cherry blossoms, planting season, okay? Tariffs for tariffs. Yeah, sounds like good economic sense. Nonsensical, my ass. What's nonsensical? Dylan says, thank you, Chris. I need to go again. Need to get going for it. All right, Dylan, have a good day. Be safe out there. Who is economics? Have we got a fight going on in the chat? 12:39. Oh, we got a troll here. All right, let's see what the troll's up to. Economics grad. I know you know better. Know better what, economics grad? Your message isn't here. What do I know better? I see you got quiet there. Yeah, they get very quiet when you challenge them. Very quiet. Diane Humble, good morning to you. Johan van Rooyen, this bill can take months to be signed by Trump. Yeah, it could take years. It could never happen. It's just a bill. Most bills never make it onto the floor. So I think it's an own goal by putting in there Caucasians. I think it's stupid. SAFPREF is already almost dead. Virtual Western Cape. I used to work there in regular shutdown, says Earl. I doubt there will be sanctions against South Africa. For what? We have no interest in you, really. Yeah. Yeah. Well, people are pushing for sanctions against leaders of South Africa, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Although I would suggest that Julius Malema not make any foreign trips anytime soon. He has threatened the life of a president, a sitting president, and he is squarely in the sights of the Secret Service. U.S. Secret Service is aware of Julius Malema's threats to President Trump's life on Twitter, and they're taking it seriously. So, most countries are extradition countries in the United States, so Julius Malema really might want to consider where he travels in the future. Isn't it funny, when Julius Malema went to Argentina to lobby the Argentinian government, no one called him a traitor. Remember that? When he was Inconvenient Youth, the ANC Youth League, he went there and lobbied the Argentinian government. Yeah. Freddie Broomer says, fee, fi, fo, fum, the whole world just got a Trump thumb up the bum. That's pretty good. Please, everyone, ignore the stupid bill by a congressman I had never heard of before. He is hardly take risks. Yeah, Michelin Star Diner. I've heard of this guy before, but it's attention-seeking, I think. Okay, the EFF have my permission. Probably don't have an authorization for March. I came in late. Did you see the mail from Afrikaners? No, I'm not on a mailing list from Afrikaners. They do inform me indirectly, but I'm not on the mailing list. Something about more info on who qualifies from State Department. No, I haven't seen that. Amerikaners are here, or they were. Okay, yeah. I mentioned Washington State because I think it's the top 10 refugees. It is. It is. I had that list here. It's in the top 10. Washington State is. I'm not going to dig it out now, but it's there. Marius, welcome to you. Yeah, I see what you're saying about Section 2. I read it. You tell me to look at it. I read it, Andre. Were you here? Were you not here when I read it? Section 2? Yes. Yeah. For classification as refugees may occur in South Africa in a third country. But you're reading something into that. You're reading something into it. It does not say what you think it says. Okay? You're saying it looks like we'll be able to do the screening outside South Africa. Look at Section 2. No, it doesn't say that. It does not say that. What it says is the processing individuals described for classification. Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. You are correct. You're correct. Sorry, Andre. You're correct. Yeah. Or in a third country. No, I thought you were saying America. I just realized you said yeah, outside South Africa. I'm sorry. Andre, misspoke. It's early morning hours. You are correct. Yeah, and I read that earlier. So the processing individuals described in subsection of classification may occur in South Africa or in a third country. But before you get too excited about that, I suspect that the intent of that, although it's not clearly worded, so that could put a rush on American embassies worldwide, like Mogadishu, which was asked a short while ago. The problem with that is that it's in violation with existing law. The only time it occurs in a third country is normal refugee status in a place you're not firmly resettled. So that's going to have to be clarified. I did say that this bill is going to have to go through a legal review because there's problems with it. When you write a law that's incongruent with existing law, we have a problem, and it'll be challenged legally. So, yeah, you're right. Section 2 does give the impression you can be processed outside in a third country. But the intent of that is if refugees have to flee and actually become real refugees from South Africa to Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, or Namibia, I would go to Zimbabwe, go to those places, then you're in a third country. That's the intent of it, I believe. But Andre, you are 100% correct. It is in there. So I stand corrected because I misspoke. And if I misspeak, I'll admit it. I misspoke. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Andre. Okay, where's my chat at now? Come on here. I am American with an interest in learning Afrikaans and have been watching you for a while. Okay, well, there's ways out there. There's a website to learn Afrikaans. Jason, my apologies. Didn't mean to stir anything up earlier. Just a thought. No, Jason. Yeah, I appreciate it, but people need to stop talking about that. That's why I'm not coming to South Africa anymore, because all you're all doing is setting me up to be attacked, by telling people that stuff. There are evil people watching the stream right now. That's why I'm not coming back. So I'd ask you stop doing that. That's you got to use common sense here, folks. All right? Just like you shouldn't put your phone number in chat. We'll delete it immediately. Don't put your address in there. We'll delete it immediately. It's for your protection. All right? Okay, Jason, thank you for understanding. Yep. Okay. Every night I've got to tell people to stop doing that. It's really getting frustrating. Tariffs won't work if you're not needed as a trading partner. I don't understand what you're saying, Tom. The tariffs will work for America because we don't need your BMWs or your Mercedes or your car parts or your wine. We get plenty of it from elsewhere. You're not a preferred trading partner. So you were given an advantage under AGOA, which increased your exports because people took advantage of it. But it's not necessary for America. We don't need it. Teletubby protest today in Pretoria changed my route to work. I didn't know about that, Ella. So do we need to get excited this bill? No, Johan, I wouldn't get excited. I'd be concerned. I mean, you can be excited from a standpoint that it's going to get in the press because tomorrow, if it isn't already happening, people are writing things on IOL and Times Live and News 24 claiming that, America is systemically racist because they only want white people to come. They're going to ignore the fact that we've taken 3.1 million refugees for 45 years and almost none of them are white. Yeah, so they're going to do that. You watch. I also said from the start that the Afrikaner refugee thing was for whites only, and I was called racist by my family for even suggesting it. Well, no, you're not vindicated, economics grad. You're not vindicated. You're not vindicated because this isn't from the start. So see, this is when people take one, and you're an economics grad, and you come up with 47. How do you take 1 and 1 and come up with 47? You said it was for whites only from the start. Well, you may very well be correct, but you're not as of this moment because there's no mention of whites in the executive order. This is the only existing thing for refugee status for South Africans. This bill proposed today by a Texas legislator is his view on what he wants the law to be. He's not the president of the United States. He didn't introduce refugee resettlement to Afrikaners. Donald Trump did that. And Donald Trump, as I say, economics grad, I say the following. This act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and hateful rhetoric and government actions fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. Where does it say farmer? It does not. And the people that it applies to is on the back under Section 4. And it applies for Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. The word white does not appear in the executive order. The word farmer does not appear in the executive order. So, economics grad, you may very well be correct in the end, but you can't claim that you're correct and you're vindicated based on this piece of legislation that a Texas representative has introduced in Congress, because this was introduced on April 4th, not February 7th. Okay, so you're not vindicated, economics grad, not yet. And what is it I'm supposed to know better? You didn't comment. I didn't say that earlier. I think Trump was very gracious towards a lot of countries on that list. U.S. charge only half. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what I said. That's why he did it. Finger slip again. Of all the watch list I'm on, I'm most proud of being on the people who listen to the Colonel list. Okay, cool. Michelin definitely doesn't want you to get excited about the bill. Martin says, morning, Nittany Lions country. Studied there and would love to visit Happy Valley again. Yeah, I actually went to a football game there against Iowa, I think it was. It was incredible. I mean, 120,000 people in the stands. It was insane. It was freezing. I took 2 African students who were here at the War College, went up there, and it was cold. You know, it's a couple-hour drive to get to Happy Valley. It's not the easiest road to travel on. It's in the middle of frickin' nowhere, right in the middle of the state, wilds of Pennsylvania. but a big community. And so I'm not a big fan of Penn State, but it was incredible going to the game. It was something else. Lions country. Okay. Mr. QB, what are the numbers of interest in the refugee program? If you have some figures to share, that would be great. Mr. QB, we talked about this a while ago. I'll cover this in many videos, but I'll do it very quickly. The South African Chamber of Commerce USA, which has nothing to do with this whatsoever, but they had reported on it around the time I did when it first kicked off. And so people inundated their mailbox and crashed their server saying, hey, we want to sign up for it, even though they have nothing to do with it. They were just among the first to report on it on the Friday night. So over the weekend, they had 5,000, then 10,000, then 17,000. Then they were asked by the government to no longer report the numbers. So they went silent for about a month. And then recently, Neil Diamond went over to South Africa. He's a naturalized American citizen from South Africa. Took the list over of 67,042 heads of household. Conservative estimate, considering that some people are widows or widowers or two people in a marriage, but some people have 7 kids. So you go with the figure of 4. That represents 275,000 people who are potentially interested in coming. On top of that, the Amerikaners took a list of 27,000 names because they established a website to provide information for people free of charge, and people expressed interest there. They took 27,000 names. They delivered to the American Embassy last week. So that's another 27,000. That takes you from 80, 67, 77, 87, and another 7 is 94,000, okay? Then the embassy itself admitted in one of the interviews that at least 30,000 people had contacted them unsolicited after they put the email address up on the embassy website on the 10th of February. So that was as of 2 weeks ago. So as of 2 weeks ago, at least 94, 104, 114, and 7, 121,000 names representing 4 times that. 480,000 South Africans at a minimum have expressed interest. Does that help you? Some of those are duplicates. So if we take out, say, 30,000 or 50,000, it's still over 400,000 people. And that's the ones who had the courage to reach out to people. That wasn't even official. Even the embassy wasn't official. It was just, hey, do you have interest expressed? Send us an email. That's it. If you have questions, send us an email. And that's insane. The press isn't reporting that. I've reported on endlessly, Mr. QB. Tom, exactly. Also funny how everyone blames USA instead of owning their own failures. Exactly. Yeah, and they're having hissy fit about it. Well, what they're trying to do now is come out and say that, well, the methodology used by the U.S. is illegitimate. Thanks. You missed my chat after you banned someone, and my friend has a new branded channel, 6 subs, and live streaming on it, even without a single video. They changed 2018. Let's Play Master. Yeah, I missed your second thing, but I don't know where they changed in 2018 because when I started this channel, I couldn't go live. Wouldn't let me go live. They have my phone number. They have my address. They have my credit card. I couldn't go live. I had to get to 1,000. When I got 1,000 subscribers, I was able to go live. So, I mean, I don't know where they changed that. You know, YouTube is executed differently in different countries. Anyway, but yeah, Let's Play Master. They're always changing things. So, yeah, always changing. But you can't apply the standards of the current contemporary moment with the standards I went through when I set my channel up. So, anyway. The rules were different then. What did economics grad say? I missed something. Dev Jono. Yeah, they're going to try and block this. People, please carry on with your lives like this isn't going to happen. Try to block what, Dev? Yes, I know about the bill, Art Dodd. We've talked about it endlessly at the beginning of this show. I'm not seeing economics grad's comment. $6 trillion worth of investment towards new factories and expanding current factories. Yes, companies preemptively trying to avoid it. Yep. Well, today, Emmanuel Macron declared war on the United States. He told French companies not to invest in America. He will regret that decision. Now, we still have a choice on what to do. We don't have a choice anymore. Will we get to that point? I'm not sure what you're saying, Marius. Okay. Once the first batch of Afrikaners land your soil, that will give everyone else confidence and the floodgates will open. Yeah, hit the like button, folks. 543 likes, 595 people currently here. It's 32,000 now, Colonel. Oh, okay, thank you. Well, I don't have an update, Amerikaners. You guys don't update me, and you're not obliged to. 32,000. But you haven't turned those other 5,000 names over. But 32,000. See, and the list is growing. A lot of people didn't send names in after because they thought the list would turn in. It was the end of it. Regardless, the ones staying will not be staying quiet. Those feeling hopeless and affected will go. Yep. Mr. QB says, thanks for the info. I, too, have been trying to figure out what the interest is. And, yes, you're right. The numbers aren't being reported. Yeah, no. I reported them, but I had no numbers to go off of. I can tell you anecdotally that now people aren't asking me the question at the same level because they got tired of me saying, quit asking questions, watch the videos, and maybe actually watching the videos. But from February 6th until about 2 weeks ago, I answered at least probably 80,000 questions from at least 50,000 people on this channel. Yeah, that's a rough estimate. That's anecdotal. So that's not scientific. So, oh, yeah, you didn't. No, people can say what they want. My viewers were here. They saw it endlessly, every night, every day, endlessly answering these questions. Watched his trade speech and then response to it from opposition. I felt a little bit better. Stupidity isn't just South Africa. No, it's international. Stupid people are all over the world. That's why stupid people should wear signs. You wouldn't ask them questions. So I wanted, I'm sorry. I didn't see your sign. Yeah. What I cannot understand, want to abandon their farms in the ANC and give them asylum in the USA where no farms are being taken from them. Do you think the USA is going to give them farms? Echoman Durban, are you here to troll? First off, not a single thing you said is factual, okay? You don't except what you don't understand. Obviously, you don't understand something. Afrikaners want to abandon their farms to the ANC. No. What Afrikaner has indicated they want to abandon their farm? Do you know anyone that said that? And be given asylum. You're not giving asylum. First off, you're factually incorrect. There's no asylum. This is not asylum. It's a refugee program. So you're factually incorrect there. There's a huge difference between being an asylum seeker and being a refugee. No farms being taken from them. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Have you heard of Seshego? Have you heard of East London? Have you heard of Northwest Province? Farms have been confiscated and taken. And farmers have been attacked and intimidated and arrested for non-existent crimes like the dairy farm in Derby, just south of Mahalisburg. So what you're saying is bullshit and uninformed. I don't know why you're confused. I don't know if you're trolling. I don't know if you're legitimate, but everything you say, I can rubbish here in a heartbeat because you're factually wrong. Do they think USA is going to give them farms? No one's going to give you a farm. It's been pretty clear there. Obviously, you don't watch this channel, Echo Man Durban. I've said endlessly, you're not getting a farm here. You're going to buy a farm. I don't own a farm because the land costs $50,000 an acre here. $50,000 an acre here. I don't have that kind of money. Tracy, good to see you again. Fishing. Freeload some more, Celestial. Okay. All right, Morning, take care. Tito. Just finished watching Morning Shot. Apparently there's a rumor that Durko and Hamas... Yeah, okay. Did he already talk about that? Yeah, it's a rumor. See, I'm going to talk about the rumor only because people are talking about it, but I can't prove it. I'll give you the names of who claims it happened. But yeah, so Morning Shot was approached by the UK law firm. Well, maybe he knows more than I do. But of course, Byron has businesses in the UK. He's got citizenship there, so yeah. You know, you want to be given farms. You can rent farms like many farmers in the U.S. do. Exactly. With that said, I have to say I do admire your patience and perseverance, what you do. What did you just say? Something else, Philip? Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I just watched Substack because the Colonel's repeated himself so many times. I know it word for word. Lest we forget, Neil Diamond was asked by someone from government not to report. Exactly. That's exactly right. And I broke that story. That was a scoop. We didn't know that was the case. I asked him why he suddenly stopped reporting on. He said they were asked not to report anymore. You got that scoop right here. William Janssen from Rensburg. Safas have a history of wanting to see what others do and wanting... Okay. Martin Prinslow, hello to you. Ecomaster, no, not all. Why are Afrikaners being singled out for preferential treatment? Because they're being singled out for discrimination. Just like Uyghurs, just like Rohingya, who we also give refugee status to. Some virtually unknown congressman. Micheline, you really have a distaste for this guy. I got it. Yes, Johannes. Okay, I've covered that in this story at the beginning. So you guys are telling me just came from Morning Shot's premiere. If Morning Shot just premiered it, then I beat them to it. Apparently that's important. People go to my channel earlier when I did a video about this whole situation with this resolution. Go, aha, Evan beat you. Evan beat you. Evan beat you. Evan Galopter, the attorney, he beat me. I'm like, what? What? It's not a race, the competition. It's not bragging rights. So I went and looked, and Evan published this video 15 minutes before I did. Ooh, congratulations, Evan. Why did a dozen people come to my channel and make a big deal about that? I don't really care. And so, I don't really care. The Morning Shot has covered a couple things I haven't had time to cover, and I've covered things that he has been aware of. So, complement each other. But as far as reporting that story, I reported that an hour and a half ago. So if Morning Shot just debuted their video at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., 7 a.m., then I beat Morning Shot. If it's a race, I beat Morning Shot talking about that. Xavier says, daily lessons in patience. Well, Xavier, I didn't have this kind of patience when I was younger. Didn't have it. But yeah, Johannes, I will make a video when I'm done with this, because obviously that's the topic and people want to talk about it. So I will give you my take on it, okay? And I'll tell you the consequences of it. And also, remember this, ladies and gentlemen, okay? See, you have to remember that there are things that people know that they cannot betray confidences, okay? Cannot betray a confidence. So, there are times that I know things from sources, or because of my experience, or because of my access, that I simply can't tell people. You can't betray those confidences. So things happen. Sometimes I have to let other people break stories before I can break them. Keep that in mind, okay? All right? Just keep that in mind. Crime in France is... Okay, well, no, there's a lot of bad crime in Marseille. Anyone selling their things now, you're not being very smart. Yeah, who's selling their things now? I don't think selling your things now. You don't know that you even qualify for the program. We don't know what the program is. Why are you doing that? Do not do that. If we go into South Africa like we did in Yugoslavia, how fast do you think we can take the country? I'm not commenting on that. That's an obvious soundbite that some troll wants so they can make a video and make false claims about me. I'm not going to comment on that. Madeline says life means more than land. I'm not going to comment on that. Lisette von Logenberg. Right now my main concern is just someone getting USA. Okay. Your time difference will advantage you guys on reports. No, Willem Janssen van Rensburg, I'm disadvantaged. Remember, I report on Africa and Europe and Asia, which are ahead of me. So I'm often disadvantaged. It's rare that I get a scoop. That's been one of the challenges with my channel. One of the reasons why I didn't grow so much earlier is because I was analyzing news after it happened in South Africa. Now, if I knew about an event, I could cover it as it unfolded. Senegal won. I was the only YouTuber, to my knowledge, that actually covered Senegal the first time when they flipped the Bucky over. I was covering it, but all I could give you was updates and analysis from Twitter's videos that people were posting. So I covered that. But then everybody and their brothers showed up. Big Daddy Liberty was there, and everyone else. The Boy Ligon was there. All these people went the second time. I covered that as well. I covered the Vitkois Monument. I covered the Bikers Rally. I covered Brockenfell. I covered the Phoenix Rally. I covered the jab, the Sputnik and Chinese jab, a rally by the EFF in Pretoria. I covered all those things live, and I have to be up at freaking 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning covered. So actually, I'm at a disadvantage. I'm not an advantage, Willem. I'm only an advantage for U.S. news that happens in the afternoon. If U.S. news happens during the day, I'm not an advantage because South Africans are up. If it happens after 3 p.m., I've got an advantage. And lately, that's been the case. So, us white English-speaking South Africans were always seen as second-grade South Africans. Now they get preferential treatment. They're not the only white people who are being discriminated against. No one said they were the only white people being discriminated against, Echo Man Durban. No one said that. Also, what I said in my analysis from the outset of this, looks like you're not trolling. You're actually here to ask real things. I said from the outset of this on February 7th that they haven't defined what Afrikaners are, and I think, in my view, they'll have to expand it to minorities, not just Afrikaners, which would include all whites, coloreds, Indians, and even some blacks. So that was my expectation. But we are still waiting for the State Department to determine what that is. Okay. What did Marius say that somebody said it was? Huh. Jules, thank you for your membership. Oh, the alert box is off. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I appreciate it's a joke, Falcon 6, but my content is being watched. It's being stolen by so-called reporters and media outlets in South Africa and desperate YouTubers who are trying to get traction, who have no subscribers, and they're trying to get subscribers by painting me as a white supremacist, stealing my content, and then lying about what I said. I watched this guy take my content and claim I said something, but then he played what I actually said and still said I said something else. I mean, do you live in an alternate universe, a bizarro world? You just heard what I said. It's not what I said. So anyway. The difference is you double check everything before you stream it, and that's why I only watch your channel. Yeah, exactly. Well, with this here, that's why Evan beat me to the punch. I didn't get home until nearly, well, it was almost 6 o'clock, and I found out about this when I got home, and I started looking into it and trying to find it from multiple sources. I was able to find multiple sources, but I'm still contacting his office to ask why he's doing it. Mickey Dangerous says 20-25 years a year, the Afrikaner Amerikaner. That's good. Refugee, Evan reports on refugees only. Colonel gives us everything, and I trust. Thank you very much, Ludwig. I appreciate that. Some people are selling property now before it gets taken without compensation. Well, that's a whole different story. Whole different story. Well, I don't try to confuse anybody. Well, YouTube is not my day job either, Amanda. You probably think it is because I'm putting so much content out. It's because things are consequential now, but I've got other jobs too. So like this week, I mean, I spent all day at working in a secure facility today, plus I was involved in a teleconference of rather importance, big importance earlier, you know, so we can bring Burmese to America. We're working on that. Tito, thank you for that super chat. €6, Tito Ponte. Is that Portuguese? Thank you for that. And Louis gave another 140 rand. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Waking up to wonderful news this morning, says Nicklin. Well, don't get too excited, Nicklin. It's not wonderful news. It's interesting news. It has no impact on what Trump is doing. No one comes close to coverage. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And then Vilma Erasmus. Hey, Vilma, how you doing? 14 rand. I have a solution for you. Turn your clock forward 6 hours, and you'll be saying that isn't a solution. Something I might have missed as U.S. refugee, will we still be able to vote in the U.S. South elections? Lots of us. Well, the problem with that, Mr. Gill or Mr. QB, is that, well, that's a subscription. Thank you, Inside Down. The problem with voting in South Africa is that the way they do it is unfair. I mean, you have to go to the embassy. So if you're living in Montana, in order to vote in South Africa's election, you can. I stand on correction if you tell me I'm wrong, but I checked on this last election because people had to go all the way to London to vote. They couldn't vote in Manchester. They couldn't vote in Sheffield. They couldn't vote in York. They had to go to London to vote. Well, that's expense and time. Most people didn't do it. Only a few thousand people voted. But yeah, you would still be able to vote from abroad. Yeah. But unless the ANC didn't take your vote and just threw it out, you know, that's on them. But you'd have to go to D.C., to my knowledge. I don't know. You might be able to go to Los Angeles, the consulate, but I don't know. Okay, I have a solution. Okay. People, if we go, you're going there with nothing. You also get help from the government for more than 3 months. It's more than 3 months. Right now, Dev Jono, I don't know where you're getting 3 months from. It's authorized for 3 to 5 years, the programs, depending on the type of program. The cash payment is good for 3 years. The problem is it isn't funded to that level, and if a whole bunch of you come, there isn't going to be the kind of money. So those refugees have been coming over the past several years, been averaging about 8 months of cash handouts from that program. But there's other programs out there. So that's not a fully informed comment that you're making there, Jeff Jono. I'd suggest everyone go watch my video, which you can find on the Substack list at the top of the chat over there, on that side on the chat. We're at this side. Where's chat? Chat's over there. Anyway, and you click on the Substack, subscribe to my Substack, which is free. I don't charge like most people do. And then you can go from there. All right? Yes, Echoman, a lot of pressure on individual ANC. That's what a lot of people are calling for, including AfriForum right now. Word choice may be poor. Okay, William, thank you. Delaware, yeah, it's on the list. There weren't many people. It's a small state. Your insight and general opinions are spot on. I can see that you're an intel man. Facts first. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, an intelligence analyst takes what information is available. They figure out where to get more information. They put these pieces of the puzzle together. And in the absence, maybe that piece is missing, maybe this piece is missing, maybe that piece in the middle is missing. And they come up with a projection or an estimate of what's likely to happen. and different ways. If this happens, that could happen. Kind of like an if-then statement when you're coding for computers. CB just gave 70 Rand. Thank you for that. So that's what intelligence analysts do. Good intelligence analysts are very good at predicting things. It doesn't require great, extensive mathematics skills. It just requires common sense and a grasp of holistic expectations. You have to understand the things, anticipate the problems. And one of my biggest frustrations is when I anticipate a problem and I tell people about it and they don't take the steps that I tell them to prevent it from becoming a problem. Very frustrating. It happens all the time to the Veterans Organization. I tell people, let's not do this because if you do it, that's going to happen. And then they just completely ignore me. And then we got problems because they didn't listen. When I think about things, I think about the impact in the community, how people will respond, how the media will respond to what we're doing, right? And who it affects. If it's fair, if someone's going to judge it unfairly. So all those things come into play. That's also part of being a leader. So it's not just an intelligence analyst. Bill was tabled. Thank God. Oh, gosh. Jean-Pierre Mayer. Do you not look at the title of this live stream? I appreciate you being here. Congress takes up Afrikaner refugee cause with legislation. And you actually just asked me if I'm aware of what the Amerikaners sent out. You really did just ask me that. Dude, read the title of the live stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for watching the content. Very grateful for all that. But don't you read the titles of the things you're watching? No, Jan, I'm not eating well. On average, I eat once a day. Once a day. Ina Vogel says, thank you for your perseverance. You have such a hard job with all the people who come with nonsense and waste your time. We did this to improve the lives of all South Africans, not just elitists and politicians. I had my maternal grandmother was born and grew up in San Francisco. And there's a super chat from Eustace. Thank you very much for that, 35 Rand. And appreciate the guidance. You're welcome. There are dedicated African people who find it insulting they get a promotion over an Afrikaner more deserving. Yeah, well, there's lots of people who don't like racist laws, and including black folks. Okay. Is Monterey Siebert's here? I didn't see Monterey pop in. There's no average income for a real estate agent. I suppose they have one, but you know, some real estate agents sell multi-million-dollar homes in Beverly Hills. Some sell the same things in Manhattan. Some people sell homes here, which sell for a few $100,000, not for millions of dollars. So, average? No, you got to be more specific. I can't answer questions like that. We did this, okay. We built this city. Echoman Durbin says, I've only recently discovered and subscribed to your channel because I like what you have to say. Well, that's great, Echoman, and thanks. I thought you came on as a troll, so we had a troll alert in my mind watching for that, but thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. Yep, thank you. Titles don't mean anything to me, says Quids. Kat, you're the best source info of the refugee program. Well, not just the refugee program, for the budget for South Africa, for farming, for agriculture, for culture, for language. I cover it all, man. Solar system. I don't know. Today was a hideously cloudy day. I doubt I got much in the way of solar power today. Let me take a look. All right. So, come on. Oh, I'm on the Wi-Fi, on the network, not my Wi-Fi. Oh, yeah. It rained. Terrible. I've had a terrible month. So I had one good day with 46 kilowatt hours on the first. It was sunny all day. That's amazing for this time of year. And then I had 18.5 and then 15. Actually, not too bad considering it was a rainy day, 15 kilowatt hours. Taya Nell has become a member. Thank you for that, Taya. Yeah, so that's actually not bad, 15 for a rainy day. But it's a slow month. We had a good month last month. Volberans just gave 70 Rand. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. Your info put me in perspective about the situation. Helped a lot to see white guilt in the proper perspective. Yeah, well, white guilt is a stupid thing. Stupid thing that leftists come up with. Gideon says left leftist South African line with Trump's politics. Now work with American who left the U.S. because he hates Trump. Well, he's a dumbass for leaving America because he hates Trump. I hated Joe Biden. I didn't leave America. Although I was going to leave America, I had nothing with Biden, but the world became crazy, so I didn't. Even with all three of them contributing, it's amazing how much work the Wyatt triplets get done. These boys just don't sleep. Triplets? What are you talking about? What triplets? I would work with you anytime, though, Chris. Thanks, James. Well, most people that have worked with me and have worked for me would tell you they would follow me into combat. I mean, yeah, most people say that. I mean, that's not a boast. It's just a statement that people said. Yep. When you have time, go look at Morning Shots in the video. They claim it's... Now, I'm not going to go look at the video, Christo. I make my own video. I'm not going to glom onto what Morning Shot. I'll make my own video with my own analysis about that, and I'm going to do it as soon as I hang up this stream because everyone's talking about it. I held back, but because there's only one report, it's in the IOL. I don't have access to this lawyer, so anyway. 1 flower, 7 thorns. That's an interesting username. Mickey Dangerous, what's going on, man? Okay, for farmers, I've done a lot of research. Each state has its own aid programs for agriculture, so decide where you want to go. And yeah, there's a lot. Every state has an extension program. Madeline Ruiz, thank you for the 7 Rand. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. Still waking up, completely missed the stream information part. It's okay. You know what, John? You don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. You're just excited. I get it. I get it. But I mean, honestly, that's the title of the video, man. It's okay. No need to apologize. The ANC helped Hamas attack Israel. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, folks, let's go back to the order, okay? All right. Without revealing too much, Donald Trump warned. And what did the South Africans latch onto, especially the ANC and the Agri-SA and all these people? They latched onto, so it's about the Afrikaners. Oh, they're misinformed. Donald Trump doesn't know. I said, no, that's only part of it. Oh, then about 2 weeks later, they finally woke up to the fact that they mentioned, South Africa taking aggressive positions towards the United States and its allies. They missed that. They still missed that. Lawrence Theart, thank you for subscribing. They still missed that part. Then they said, Israel, Hamas, International Court of Justice. They latched onto that. And they're still ignoring this one here. Reinvigorating relations with Iran, develop nuclear, commercial, and military. So they missed that entirely. But we've been very clear, but there is something that they did reveal, and that is pretty obvious. Their relations with Hamas. Well, now it's being revealed, at least claimed, what's going on here. Maybe the U.S. government was well aware of that, and that's one of the reasons why this executive order is issued. Think about that, folks. Any Afrikaner culture traditions that could take off in the country? Well, we have barbecues, so that won't change here. People still have barbecues. Some food, like Durwurst maybe, but certainly biltong will take off. There's already lots of Afrikaners here in America, folks. I don't know if you know that. We've got thousands here, and people make biltong here already. I am the upgraded version of Senior Fund Rendsburg, says Reg Dot. Well, I think that's a compliment. Cats and dogs is raining. And then what's this? Send your message. We have an interview soon at the embassy. Oh, you sent me a message, 1 flower, 7 thorns. 1 flower, 7 thorns, you may have. I didn't go through messages today because I keep getting messages. People, please add me to the group. Please add me to the group. Please add me to the group. I don't know why people send me this. I'm just ignoring those things. So I have so many to go through. I just have to start deleting these things. So I'll try to find your message. Thank you. Yeah, good luck in your interview. Good morning, Dire Straits. How was your day? Very long, and it's 1:30 in the morning, so it's not over yet. I will, Christo, as soon as I'm making a video. I already researched it. See, I researched it before this, but I made the video about the land. So I had to edit the video that I recorded earlier today. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I recorded a video earlier today. And in it, I went out and looked at some farmland. And, well, some people are looking at it. Not a lot. Let's see. It's got, that can't be right. That's old. Come on. Yeah, okay, there we go. 7,000 views. So not a lot, but it's getting there. So I made this video earlier. And this video, I had to edit this. So hang on a second here. There's an advert playing. So I had to edit this video, so I didn't have time to make the other video. And since I only had one source, I wasn't going to do it. But since everybody's talking about it, I will make the video. All right, so.
This is a maize field from last year, folks. Land, an emotive issue. Something people will fight over. People willing to give up their lives over. An emotive issue, something that's of great importance now in South Africa as the ANC has botched the land reform program for 31 years. Here in central Pennsylvania, more and more farmland is being turned over to residential and commercial use. We're seeing farms disappear left and right. Kind of a sad situation. But land is what a lot of people fight over. But the vast majority of human beings own no land whatsoever. Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. It's disheartening to see the lies and misrepresentations and outright fantasies that are propagated about land ownership in South Africa. On a break earlier.
So that was from earlier. So I had to do that. There's only so many hours in the day. So I made that video because I need to get it up, and I wasn't able to make a video about the other one. So, okay, I see that a few SASA grants have been increased. Yeah, amazing. There's no money, but where's it coming from? Rion Smith, welcome to you. I'm implying you do the work of three guys. Oh, gotcha. I missed that, Light Rain. It's 1:25 in the morning. It's only 10:25 for you, so give me a break. The only way to explain your productivity is that you are triplets. Well, actually, Light Rain, that's a funny story. You should mention that. When I was a lieutenant, and I was a first lieutenant in Gelnhausen, Germany, in the 4th Brigade, 1st Armored Division, I was all excited. I went from an armored battalion, 3rd Battalion, 8th Cavalry, fought in the Gulf War, came back, we deactivated. That's very depressing, is to destroy your unit and deactivate it and turn all your equipment over. And then I was reassigned to the 4th Brigade in Hanau, so it was about a half-hour drive for me every morning instead of a 5-minute walk from my residence to my office in the back gate. Now I had to drive every morning. But I wound up there. I got over there, and I met with Captain Richardson. He was the brigade S2. It was a major's job, but he was a captain doing it. Nice guy. And so I came in, and he said, Chris, I see they've assigned you over here, and it's great, but I got to tell you up front that you're not going to be here very long. And I'm like, huh? I'm not going to be here very long. What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not going to be here very long? He said, well, Ray Starman up in the Cav Squadron, 47 Cav, he was promised this job, and he's going to be coming down here. And I said, oh, okay. All right. Hang on. Stick with me. The story has a good meaning to it. So he went to Leavenworth to take care of his Combined Armed Services Staff School requirement, CAS-Cube. So while Captain Richardson was gone for 2 months, we had 3 exercises in those 2 months, and I was the S2. I had just arrived. I knew nothing about the Aviation Brigade. I'd never served with Apache helicopters before. I've only been back in the Army as a lieutenant for a couple of years, and it's all thrown in my lap. Well, we went to the field, and I had an inexperienced former Air Force, now Army staff sergeant who didn't know what she was doing, and a couple of junior enlisted didn't know what they're doing. Supposed to have a major, a captain, a senior NCO, and several soldiers. Didn't have any of that. So we went to the field. Well, I got asked about SEED. SEED? I said, what, like suppression of enemy air defense? Yeah. So have you have any SEED missions planned? Are there any forms for it? Are there any requests for fires, electronic fires, jamming? Nothing. I had to invent the whole process. I invented the whole process. I came up with it, and I developed everything. So I was everywhere all the time. I would get 15-minute cat naps. Boom, I'm up. Because I didn't have a second person to work nights when I worked days. So I worked days and nights. So when there was an off time, 15, 20 minutes cat nap. It was a weird exercise because my sergeant set up my tent. We had our own tents for staff officers, and I'd always set my own tent up. So it was weird. I wasn't comfortable with that, but there was no time. So I was very grateful. So the first time I got a chance to get some sleep after a day and a half, I was able to go to my tent. But I was everywhere all the time. And so people asked me, they said, how do you do this? They're like, where's Lieutenant Wyatt? Get Lieutenant Wyatt. And I was always around or available when they needed me throughout the exercise. 3 exercises. Okay. And so I started joking. I said, well, there's me and Lieutenant Hologram. Lieutenant Hologram is my assistant. So Lieutenant Hologram is on night shift. So you talk about 3 people. I had Lieutenant Hologram. So when Captain Richardson came back, not Richard, but Richardson, when Captain Richardson came back from his course at Fort Leavenworth, we had an exercise like the next week. That was the BCTP, Battle Command Training Program, BCTP. We had a big BCTP exercise. The Corps was involved, and we were one of the divisions. So we went there. Captain Richardson had not worked with me in the field because he'd been gone. And now I've been doing his job and my job for the past 3 exercises. So we're out there, and Captain Richardson, okay, hey, Chris, we're going to need some template for this upcoming battle. I said, oh, here you go, sir. I'd already made it. Oh, thanks. That's great. What about, is there a guard plan? Oh, here you go, sir. Did you get a chance to look at the enemy course of action? Yes, sir. Here's course of action 1, course of action 2, course of action 3. Most likely, most dangerous. Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm sure you didn't have time for this, but we're going to do a deep attack. I said, yes, sir. We're going to deep attack against the Division Artillery Group, and that's going to take place, we anticipate. And he's like, and he said, well, we've got some stuff. I said, yes, sir. Here's the template. Here's the acetate over here. We already done it. Already trained the soldiers on how this works. We've made it. We've templated all positions. Also, here's the suppression enemy air defense plan. Captain Richardson pulled me aside at the end of the exercise and said, Chris, you're not going anywhere. So I stayed in 4th Brigade, 1st Armored Division, which was incredible. I wound up taking over as the S2. He left, and my friend came in. Matt Anderson became the S2, and he quit the Army and got out, did his time, and went and walked across America and gave up after going through Georgia. He said, this is boring. And then I became the 2 as a lieutenant doing a major's job. And then I had a colonel come in, and I was always filling in. One day he came in my office. He said, I see you're back in your office. I said, no, sir, it's not my office. It's Captain Anderson's office, but, he's out processing. No, it's your office. And I said, well, I'm waiting for the next S2. He says, well, what do you mean you're waiting for the next S2? You're my S2. Oh, okay. Anyway, so that was pretty cool. Long time ago. Now I'm way behind the chat. Lieutenant Hologram. Okay, there you go. Martin Hood on the firearms. Martin Hood? Who idea that is? Martin Hood. Okay. Well, I'd like to talk to Ian Cameron about it. No, I have to answer, but are you on the Philadelphia side or the Pittsburgh side with sports teams? Neither. I'm not from Pennsylvania, although I did live in Scranton when I was a kid. I'm sports teams. I don't follow them much anymore because of the behavior of these leagues, but I'm an Orioles fan for baseball. I'm a Colts fan for the NFL, although I don't really watch it anymore. I watched it religiously for over 40 years. I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan and a Colorado Avalanche fan in the NHL. And I kind of like this, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Jackson introduced the bill to hold South Africa accountable for supporting American adversaries. Where did that come from, Jan? Which Jackson? When did you see that? Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Send that to me. Wow, I'll have to report on that too. Internet, not changing that deliberately. Go to Irania. Let's see if everything for free wants. Okay. Wow, Representative Jackson. Which Jackson? There's a lot of Jackson. Ronnie Jackson? Ronnie Jackson, the guy who used to be the president's medical aide? See, this is the problem. When South African officials called Trump a racist and a white supremacist and attacked America for being racist and kept attacking us, saying we were attacking them, we weren't. Well, congressmen are pissed off now, and they're going to come with the guns blazing. Morning from the Netherlands, Angelique. Milo Faria, yes. I'll cover it very quickly here. So Troy Nehls, a Texas congressman, is introducing a bill into the House of Representatives to grant special status to Afrikaner refugees, white Afrikaner refugees, he says specifically. And there would be, under this law, if it's passed, there would be no cap. As many as if they want could come. It also requires Congress to provide a report 6 months after the program starts from the day the law is passed, and every 3 months after that, telling them who is waiting for employment, who is here, how many have come, how many have been denied, the reasons they were denied. Yes, so it's very comprehensive. Yep, so there you go. Lewis, 70 Rand, super sticker, thank you for that. Is baseball the same sport called? No, rounders are very different. You sent it, Sonny. Where did you send it, Sonny? An email? I haven't been in my email. Did you send it on WhatsApp? Please tell me. End up in the U.S. I would love to work with you if you're planning to continue your campaign of supporting the subject. You're welcome. Yeah, well, I'm reporting the news, Mr. QB, but thank you. I'll continue to report the news. Milo, does that answer your question? Oh, Matthew Dixon. Well, that's old news, Errol Abraham Koch. Namibia decided to do that months ago. I reported on that, and I said, that's the end of it. I'm not coming to Namibia anymore. I'm not going to pay you to come in the country. It's stupid. To work and live in a safe environment, that's freedom. Yep. South Africa knew about the Hamas attack. Yeah, Lawrence, we don't know that. That's what someone's claiming. I have no evidence of that. I'm going to make a video on it, okay? Here in the chat. You couldn't have sent me a link, Sonny, in the chat because you don't have a spanner. You're not a moderator. Only moderators can put links in the chat, so there's no link. Look, Micheline, I don't know that it's Ronnie Jackson. I said, is it Ronnie Jackson? There's a bunch of Jacksons in Congress. No, I've never gone to Puxatawny. It's a long way from here. Milo says, yes, sir. You're welcome, Milo. It's my pleasure. All right, guys. 2 hours in. I need to make the other video. It's 1:35. I need to get some sleep. I'll be in the dental chair tomorrow morning getting drilled. I've got to get a tooth repaired that needs a crown because it's worn down, and so I'm getting a crown tomorrow morning. Thank you, Jacqueline. Both are good to see you there. Just watched Morning Shot, and seems Neil Diamond's group has come out and say they only actually had 8,000 people showed interest. What? I'm not buying that for a second. So you're saying Neil Diamond lied on my program? He lied to all the press. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Why would Neil Diamond do that? It doesn't make any sense. He completely obliterated his credibility. Why would he do that? Well, I'm not doubting you, Sean Good, but that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I will end it with the awesome song. That's weird. No, I've got to get a crown on a tooth over here. It needs some repair, so it'll be a temporary crown. Yeah. All right. So I don't know anything about that. That's interesting. You sent me a link in WhatsApp about the South African Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I mean that's a massive own goal if he did that. A massive own goal. So let's take a look. So anyway, that's I mean that's interesting. I'll take a look at it. But that's not something I know about. Where the hell's it at here? So we're going to wrap it up with this. Then I'm going to make that video, and then I'm going to go to bed. And then I've got consulting tomorrow, too. And if I get back in time, I'll be doing live color commentary and play-by-play on the Lions game from the EPCR Challenge Cup. Hey, Steve Young, how's it going? Watched the saying it was precinct for 30. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know what Morning Shot said. I'll have to check into that. Alan DeToy, just joined your question. I have a family member living in the U.S. for the past 20 years. What's my advantages? There's no advantage. By law, normally you wouldn't be allowed to do it. So they're trying to pass a law that says it won't affect you. So anyway, it shouldn't be an issue. 40,000 of dental. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Yeah, 8,000 doesn't make any sense. Now, okay, guys, I think what's happened here. Let me just be very clear. I think what's happened here is Byron's conflating something. The New York Times said there were 8,200 people that the embassy mentioned, not the South African Chamber of Commerce. There's 8,200, and then later in the same story they said 8,000. Maybe that's what we're talking about. All right. Okay, so it's time to hit not the rack. I got to still work. All right, I think maybe that's what you guys are talking about. That makes more sense, okay? All right, so that's the problem, folks, with people not doing thorough checks. And I'll give Byron some crap if he's wrong for that one, because that's a big mistake. All right, here we go. In my video on land earlier, I had a couple misstatements in there, and I put text under there to clarify so people wouldn't be confused. Here we go. Yeah, no, that can't be, Matthew. 8,000 representing 67. That doesn't make any sense. So you got 8,000 representing. That doesn't make any sense either. That means each person was representing 8.5 people. There's no way people representing that many people. All right, here we go, folks. And it is Tom McDonald. You can't cancel all of us.